Well, welcome back to the Piney Woods Homestead, y'all. We're going to cook some brats today from one of those Hereford pigs that we processed that you saw us do a while back. They've been sitting in the freezer just waiting on a beautiful day. And y'all, we've had nothing but rain, it seems, for quite a while. And today is a beautiful day. Nice and cool this morning. Sun's out. I told Lisa, I said, let's have some bratwurst tonight. Guys, today she's going to be showing you how she makes her homemade buns. And they are the best buns you will ever have for hot dogs, bratwurst, or any kind of sandwich you use for a bun for. Thanks for stopping in at the Piney Woods. Hit that like and subscribe if you hadn't, and if you have, as always, y'all, we appreciate you. We're going to take it into the kitchen, and Lisa's going to show you how to make these fantastic buns.
I think I promised to do this video over a year ago, but we're finally getting to it. This recipe will be for my yeast buns. You can use it for hamburger buns or hot dog buns. Either one works great. Sub rolls. There is a lot of rise time with this recipe, and some people don't like that, but that's where you're going to get your light fluffy rolls or your buns. And honestly, the good thing about it is the long rise times between the two is it gives you something else to kind of do whatever and not have to rush back for a very short rise time. So we'll go ahead and get these going, and I'll put the recipe in the description, or have Matthew do it. And
no, time out. You'll do that. Okay,
well, okay, well, that's true. The measurements will probably be wrong. I'll put the recipe down in the description below, and we'll just kind of cruise through this real quick. All right, the recipe uses between 3 and 3.5 cups of flour. I prefer bread flour. You can use all-purpose, that's fine too. But the first thing you're going to do is put a cup of flour in your mixing bowl. To that, add a tablespoon and a half of salt. Same thing with the yeast, and I use instant yeast. I keep it in my freezer. I buy it in bulk. Two tablespoons of sugar. And you just want to mix it together just a little bit. And to that, we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of warm water. And a 1/4 cup of melted unsalted butter. I let it cool down just a little bit. And then I just give it a stir to really incorporate everything. You're not fully mixing it, just to get everything mixed together good. And then I'll add another 1/2 cup.
What is it, flour?
Yeah, another 1/2 cup of my flour.
Is it all-purpose or self-rising?
No, I use bread flour.
Bread flour.
Yeah, but you can use all-purpose. And just get it roughly mixed together. And now you can keep mixing it by hand, but mixer works better for this. Where's my blade?
Kitchen power tools.
And then I just gradually, you don't measure this part, just dump a little bit of it in there. And we'll start incorporating the rest of this flour. You want to stop at 3 cups out of the 3 to 3.5, and then gradually add the last 1/2 cup till you get it to just past sticky. You don't want it to be super firm. You don't want to overwork it, but we'll get this going. just go around the sides and while it's mixing and get the flour down on in there. And that's about where I like it. Maybe a little bit more flour. Just a smidge more. Alright, it took just under 3.5 cups. And it's not stiff, but it's not sticking to my hands. It still feels a little tacky, but you just don't want it to stick to your hands. And then all we're going to do now is shape it up a little bit. I've got a bowl with a little bit of olive oil in it. And I'm just going to coat it with my olive oil. And then we're going to let this rise for an hour and a half.
So y'all, while we're waiting on Lisa's dough to rise, I thought I'd come down here and fuel up the excavator. We got it cleaned up really good yesterday. I like to keep stuff clean, y'all, in between jobs. And the next job is probably going to be our garden expansion. If it'll dry out for a few days. But yesterday evening, one of my brothers brought me a load of logs that he wants milled up. Some oak, some pine. Some of the pine's a little far gone, but I believe there'll still be some decent heartwood in it to get him some boards. And some cedar, some red cedar. We're going to fuel up this excavator, and I thought I'd show you how I do it. I don't have a big tank that I put on the back of my truck. I do it from 5-gallon cans, but I kind of want to show you how I do it. It makes it a whole lot easier on me. So y'all, what do hot dog buns and diesel fuel have in common? Probably absolutely nothing. That's just my sarcasm. But I wanted to show you how I fuel up. I use these 5-gallon cans, and my dad actually got me a couple of these about $8 fuel transfer pumps from Harbor Freight. Take a couple of D batteries, and y'all, it takes a few minutes, and normally I've got the house spent where I can just sit this right down on the tracks, don't have to hold it, and I can fuel up. But this is just an easy way, y'all, to save you back if you don't have a big bulk tank, transfer tank on your truck or on your homestead. Eventually, I'd like to have something that I can load into the truck, maybe 30 or 40 gallons at the time, one for gas and one for diesel, just so that I don't have to use cans, because it does get kind of old after a while. But it's pretty convenient too, you know. This excavator, it burns basically about a gallon an hour when I'm operating. And so about 5 hours on the machine, I know that 5 gallons is going to top it right back off. And this thing's probably about topped off now, but I wanted to go ahead and top it off. I like to keep it that way because I believe that if you'll keep it full, you'll have less condensation to occur inside of your tank, which is better all around for your equipment. See, all right, here is this little pump, little 2D battery operated pump, and y'all, it works great. I've got one specifically for diesel and one specifically for gas, but for about $8 or $10, I can't remember what the thing cost. I actually just replaced one because one of them had broken, you know, because it is plastic and sooner or later it's going to break. But little battery powered operated transfer pump. It works great, y'all. Set it up on something so you don't have to hold your can and you don't get so fatigued when you're fueling up. I'll go back up here because Lisa wants to show you something else before we get back to the buns. So y'all, I will tell you one thing that Lisa's hot dog buns and diesel fuel, off-road diesel, have in common. Cost. The materials are ridiculous. The $75 for 20 gallons of off-road diesel. And I don't know how much she pays for that bread flour, but everything has gone up and up in price, y'all. But I'm going to show you something right now that's pretty economical to grow to eat.
Now I will say Matthew's comparison to the buns and the fuel, probably a little off there. Yes, the bread flour that I use has essentially doubled. And when I was buying it, it was, I think I buy King Arthur bread flour. It's my favorite. It was under $3 a bag now, and it's up to, I think, over $5. But I keep a bunch bought, vacuum sealed in the freezer, so I've still got probably another half a year's worth. But it's still much more economical. It costs less than $1, I would say, for, if that, for a batch of buns. And this will actually make, depending on the size of buns you want to make, this will make about a dozen. So much more economical than the fuel.
So what do you actually have in this bed?
In this bed I have 2 different types of lettuces. That half is the Cherokee, which is my favorite. This half was Butter Crunch, which is your favorite. And right after I planted the seeds, we had monsoon rain the next day. Surprise, surprise. But, so some of them, they still actually did come up good. Some of them didn't. But I went back through yesterday. In between the rows, I have planted radishes. And it's just a great way to utilize all the space. And I filled in this row where the butter crunch did not, got probably pushed down too far into the dirt. Radishes are great because they'll be ready in 25 days. Very short maturity time. And I actually have another flat of lettuce because I didn't think any of this was coming up. So when I plant those out, I'll do another round of radishes in that bed.
And y'all, we love fresh salads, and Lisa has gotten really good at growing lettuce over the years. Let's get back to the buns, because that's the highlight of today, and those brats. You're going to see those getting grilled up here in a little while.
And once you let it rise for the first hour and a half, I just push it down, and I'm going to gather it on up. And then you have 2 options here. You can just divide them into what size you want. For this recipe, if you want like a larger bakery style bun, you can usually get 8 at that size. I'm actually going to do this half hamburger buns, half hot dog buns, because we're going to have the hot dog buns with our brats today. And then I will just put the hamburger buns in the freezer. This recipe actually freezes really, really good. The buns, they don't dry out at all, so we'll have hamburger buns for later on in the week. And you can just make them to the size you want. Like I said, you can divide them into 8 for larger ones, or 10 to 12 for a regular store size. But what I do is I will weigh my dough and then divide it into 10 portions, so they'll all be equally the same size. And again, you don't have to do that, but it's probably too big. And you'll need to have a baking sheet lined with either parchment paper, or I like to just use a silk mat. And nothing real complicated. I just kind of squeeze it, tuck it, and just keep shaping it that way. It kind of balloons it.
Is this the hamburger bun?
No, that's the hot dog bun. That was too easy.
It's round. This is the hamburger bun, right? I wasn't looking at you, so you were...
It's the hamburger.
Okay.
Hamburger.
I thought that'd be an awful odd shaped hot dog bun.
When I just press them down just a little bit, they're still gonna puff up, but. And then while I'm doing the hot dog buns, I will keep that covered, just so the dough doesn't dry out. And you can do your hot dog buns 2 different ways. You can just roll them into basically like a coil, or not a coil, but like a snake, hot dog size. You want them about, you know, just do them about the length, about an inch thick, by about 5 to 6 inches. But what I usually do, I'm doing it the same way that I do my bread. I'm going to just roll it up. And just tuck the ends under. Once you got them all shaped, hamburger, hot dog, you're gonna cover them with plastic wrap and put them back in a warm spot and let them rise again for another, usually 45 to 50 minutes. So what I do with the plastic wrap, I just pull it out and spray it with cooking spray, just so it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick too bad, but you just, like I said, cover it up with the plastic wrap. And I use the bread proof setting on my oven. If you don't have that, just somewhere it's gonna stay nice and warm so it can continue to do its second rise. This is where I usually make a mess. And there they are after their second rise, which was, I let them go about 50 minutes, just under. And now I've got my oven preheating to 400. What I always do with my buns and my bread is I just get a metal pan, fill it with water and put it in the oven and let it come to temperature while the oven's preheating, and then just leave it in there and it'll steam while your bread or your buns are cooking, and it just gives it that really nice crust. So I'm gonna get that in there and then we'll let the oven finish preheating. The oven is just about ready, so I go through and just brush the tops with a little bit of melted butter. I think that's probably about 2 tablespoons worth I melted. And you can see how much bigger since they've risen. Because you're gonna think that they're really little when you roll them out, and they're gonna actually expand even more while they're baking. All right, I'm gonna put these in. You're wanting to bake them to about between 10 and 15 minutes. It's usually just under 12 minutes for me, and a good way to check is just to, at 12 minutes, take them out. Just barely lift one up, and if the bottoms are just slightly golden, you want to go ahead and take them out, because they'll continue to keep cooking while they're cooling too. So we're gonna get these in here for about 12 minutes, and then we'll meet you back out at the grill.
Bring those plates. That's beautiful. That one for me. I'm hungry too. Y'all look at this. That beautiful, if you can even see it. That beautiful bratwurst from our Hereford hogs. And that warm, just out of the oven bun that Lisa has made. And we're going to try these. These are onion and garlic brats. We're going to try them plain with no mustard on them or anything. So let me get your opinion, then I'll get mine.
I get to go first.
Yeah. Is it good?
Mm-hmm.
My mouth's watering.
You have the pitiful taster, so can you taste it?
I can taste some onion and garlic. But the grind is perfect on these. It's a coarse grind bratwurst. And you can see the seasonings all in it. It's excellent. And these buns are buttery. They are perfect. We hope you've enjoyed a little bit of hot dog buns and diesel fuel today.
Sounds like a bad combo.
It's a combo I'd like, so I'm sure some of y'all will too. Y'all, you have a good day and a great week. We'll see you on the next video. We're going to enjoy our bratwurst. You believe we made that?
Oh, yeah.
That's excellent.
I can't wait to try the other flavor now.
I know.